Next, we want to talk about what kind of graph you choose. Graphs represent the information in a way that it's easier to find some key trends. In other words, the things that you would summarize. Now we got three different types of graphs: pie graphs, bar graphs, and line graphs. The key difference here is that in line graphs, you're usually measuring a change over time for one variable, unless you're looking at a double line graph and it's two variables. Bar graphs, on the other hand, compare the different variables with no change over time. So this is like, for example, the types of coffee sold at a coffee store: lattes, cappuccinos, cafe soda, mochas. We don't compare past and future, we're only comparing four different groups at the same time. Next, there's the pie graph. And the pie graph really looks at things as parts of a whole. So if you want to find out the percentage of men who believe that football is the best sport at RMIT, then you would probably use a pie chart. Next, we need to look at how do we interpret a graph. The kind of language we use when interpreting a graph includes superlatives, and we use this for all types of graphs. For example, the highest number of people who voted were from the West. The lowest number of sales in coffee were in the south of Vietnam, where most people prefer to eat cheese instead of grapes. We also look at comparisons, and this we see often in bar and pie graphs, because often we'll have data that look similar. Both X and Y were the lowest, while Z was the highest. In the graph that we see on the right here, even though we have two bars, one is 45 and one is 40, we could actually report this as one line. Both cute style and sexy style were considered the most popular styles for lipstick. We also need to look at when we could use fractions. We see this usually in bar and pie graphs. For example, 2/3 of students prefer watching movies to learn English instead of music. So when you do look at a graph, one tip of doing this is to look at the highest and then the lowest. You could also group in bars or pie slices together to make comparisons. And it's important to know you don't need to describe every single thing. Just focus on the key points. That way, when we get to the making conclusion stage, it becomes a bit simpler. Here's an example. How much money do people spend on a stick of lipstick? Well, it depends on what most people tend to do. In this case, it looks like most people spend $20 to $50. However, it's useful to look at the information that we can put together. For example, below $20 to $50. That seems to be a decent price range for our products. Most people spend from below $20 to $50. There you go. Now, once we have our conclusions, we can make relevant recommendations. Now, recommendations must be linked to your conclusions. For example, if we sell for less than $10 US, we can make lots of profit. I don't know about that recommendation. Our product should be sold between $20 and $50 USD. Okay, maybe that sounds logical. We should improve the quality of our product. Okay. So, which one of these three recommendations is truly linked to our conclusions? That's right, the second one. The first one there's no proof or evidence for that, so that's not something we can conclude. And the last one has nothing to do with the research we've done. Okay, we've reached the final part of the presentation, language for reporting. As you'll learn this week, there's direct and reported speech. This will be important for you when you write a graph description in week 8. It will also be important for you when you present this finding of your research on Friday. So please turn to page 136 and 139 to learn more about direct and reported speech. Thank you very much for your time.